It's called the game for a reason. All right, we're talking Michigan, Ohio State. The preview, big noon on Fox on Saturday. Can't wait. Anything can happen in this game. Throughout history, we've had big upsets on both sides. We've had both teams top two in the nation playing each other. We've had both teams suck. I presume. It's been a long time since that has happened, courtesy of Ohio State. But Michigan leads this series overall 61-51 with 6 ties. Both are the winningest of all time. One is in wins, one is in percentage. Both are close to both. This is an amazing rivalry that is going to happen in Columbus, Ohio. Home game for the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going to talk about their offense versus Michigan's defense, and then vice versa, and then I'll give you a prediction. But Ohio State's offense isn't what it normally typically is, even with all the stars that they have. They only get 38 points per game. Now, that seems like a lot to us Michigan fans, but for Ohio State, not so much, even when we beat them the last 3 years. Yards per game, they're getting 439, so that's good. Passing yards per game, 261. Rushing yards per game, 178. So well-balanced Ohio State team. They haven't been that in quite some time. Will Howard is 74% at quarterback for them. 244 passing yards per game. 26 touchdowns to 6 interceptions is all, and he has 7 rushing touchdowns. He is a runner, but he gets sacked a lot, so, it's hard to figure out his average, but what it says is like 1 yard per average. But he does, when he get close to the goal line, he's a threat. Running back Quinshon Judkins has 135 carries for 759 yards, which is a 5.6 average, 8 rushing touchdowns. He also has 109 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown on the season. And they have that dual-headed monster that Michigan has as well. Travion Henderson is 98 carries for 730 yards, 7.4 average this season, 6 touchdowns, and he also has 110 receiving yards. Tight end, they don't utilize as much. They have all them wide receivers, but Guy Scott Jr. Has 14 catches for 144 yards. That's a 10.3 average, and he has 2 receiving touchdowns, so we got to watch out for that guy. But here is what Michigan has to watch out for. Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver, 52 catches for 899 yards, 17.3 average per reception. This guy is electric. 9 receiving touchdowns. He also has 47 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground. Wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, we're familiar with him. He's still great. 56 catches for 692 yards, 12.4 average, and 9 receiving touchdowns. Carnell Tate, another young guy. 35 catches for 525 yards on the season. That's a 15-yard average and 4 receiving touchdowns. And then Brandon Ennis at wide receiver has a dozen catches for 151 yards, a 12.6 average, and 1 touchdown. So an electric offense, but the offensive line is without 2 of its best players now. So are they good enough to slow down Michigan's defensive line, which we're going to talk about here in a second? But Michigan's defense as a whole is giving up only 22 points per game, 316 yards per game, 222 of which is passing, only 94 rushing yards per game. So if Ohio State wants to be balanced, they got to open it up, get through the middle, and that starts with pass rush. The defensive ends for Michigan to slow that down. Josiah Stewart, 32 tackles on the season, 8.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. TJ Guy, 27 tackles 5.5 sacks. And then Derek Moore, 19 tackles and 2 sacks. In the interior, watch out, it's hard to run. Mason Graham, 39 tackles, 3.5 sacks. Kenneth Grant, 28 tackles, 3 sacks, 5 pass breakups, and 2 fumble recoveries. And then Rayshon Benny, the odd man out, but he rotates in and he does just fine. 26 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Now, the linebacker core, if you get by the pass rush and you get by the interior of this defense, then it is Ernest Hausman, who has 74 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception. Jashawn Barham has 60 tackles, 1 sack, and 2 pass breakups. And then if you get by them guys, then it's the secondary where Makari Page leads the team in the secondary in tackles with 42, 3 pass breakups, and he has an interception. Quentin Johnson, another safety, has 40 tackles and 4 pass breakups. Zeke Berry has come on late. 30 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. Jair Hill had the number changed. Don't know why. Maybe he was being reprimanded, but he still played. I don't know the story behind that, but he has 30 tackles, 1 sack, and 8 pass breakups along with 1 interception. Amir Hall comes in and he has 24 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and an interception of late. And then Will Johnson, of course, in the secondary is his toe ready to go because he can shut down a whole entire half of the field by just shutting down the wide receiver on that side of the field. At least one wide receiver he could shut down in this game. That's huge. We don't know. But Michigan is going to have to limit Ohio State's offense to 28 points or less to have a chance in this game, in my opinion, which I think is possible. This defense may have to get a sudden change as far as takeaways for the offense or score to help out the offense. Can Michigan's offense score enough to complement what this defense can do? That's what we're going to look at here now. Remember that Michigan had one of the hardest schedules in the nation going into this season, and in the Big Ten, of course, as well. And Ohio State had one of the easiest schedules. Also, Michigan didn't have a pass game until recently. And they are still 6-5. They still made a bowl game. So Michigan has horses still going into this. Their offense is only getting 23 points per game. That is Michigan, 300 yards per game. 160 rushing yards per game has been the norm, but the passing yards per game is getting an uptick here of late, but that's only 140 on the season. Davis Warren is 64% now on the season. He's getting right around 177 yards per game in about 6 games. He's played in some, and then he was benched in others, and about 6 games worth of passing, he's getting 177 yards per game. Not too shabby. It's the 7 interceptions. 6 of them were in the first 2 games of the season that he played. He's had 6 touchdowns since. So, he is getting better. And then running back Kalel Mullings is the workhorse, the heart of this team has been. 153 rushing yards, or 153 carries, 832 yards on the ground. That's a 5.4 average and 11 rushing touchdowns. And then the Don, big game Don. Ohio State fans remember this guy from last year and the year before. He is a home run threat, and he has 124 carries on the season, 578 yards, 4.7 average, and 4 touchdowns. He also has 81 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Colston Loveland, I think Colston Loveland is going to play in this game. I cannot confirm that. I just know his fighting spirit, and I think he's going to play, and he has to for Michigan to win this game. He has 56 receptions, by far doubling the next guy on the team. He has 582 yards, a 10.4 average, and 5 receiving touchdowns at tight end. If he doesn't play, tight end Marlon Klein is arguably, people have said that he is a faster, stronger version than Colston Loveland. Marlon Klein has 9 catches for 88 yards. That's a 9.8 average so far this season. All right, wide receiver, we'll go through real quick. Tyler Morris, 234 yards, 10.6 average, 2 touchdowns. Samaj Morgan's kind of been filtered out of this. He's been a check down guy, a sweep guy, how do I say this, an ancillary player. 23 catches for 134 yards. That's only a 5.8 average. He's got a touchdown. Fred Moore needs to be the guy, and he has 7 catches for 85 yards on the season. That's it. 12.1 average, though, per catch. All right. The offensive line for Michigan is getting better and better every week. They are. Culminating in that performance. Yeah, you can say it's Northwestern, but they protected Davis Warren, and he had a day. The most completions by a quarterback in a long time, all this season. So maybe JJ completed that many. I can't remember when, but Davis Warren, I'm telling you, he's good. All this is going up against Ohio State's defense, which is number 1 in the nation, allowing 11 points per game, 242 yards per game, 152 of which is passing, only 90 rushing the ball, and that's what Michigan has to be able to do. At the defensive front, they got 5 players. Jack Sawyer, 42 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a fumble for a touchdown. JT Tuimoloau, am I saying that right? 35 tackles. He has 6 sacks so far this season. And then defensive end Caden Curry has 18 tackles, 1.5 sacks. He rotates in as well. In the interior, you got the Ties. Ty Hamilton, 35 tackles, 2.5 sacks. And you got Tyleek Williams, 25 tackles and 2.5 sacks. So not as many sacks here as there should be. And Michigan may be one of the best offensive lines that Ohio State is going to face this season. Will it come down to the linebackers? Cody Simon is more of that pass rush guy, but he has 5 sacks now at linebacker, 65 tackles and 4 pass breakups as well. Linebacker Arvell Reese has 30 tackles. Linebacker C.J. Hicks has 21 tackles and 2 sacks. So I think Michigan could get the push and get to the second level running the ball. The question is, are they going to force Michigan to pass the ball? And then that's where Ohio State's secondary will shine in this game. Sonny Styles has 71 tackles, 4 sacks, and 3 pass breakups at the safety position. Caleb Downs at the safety position has 50 tackles and 3 pass breakups. Lathan Ransom has 47 tackles, 1 interception, 3 forced fumbles, and a touchdown on defense. And then you got 3 quality cornerbacks to lock down, our receivers, or stop the run is what I'm thinking that they're going to be charged with. Denzel Burke at corner has 37 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. Jordan Hancock has 30 tackles, 6 pass breakups, 1 interception, and 2 forced fumbles. And then Davison Igbigison has 28 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. So this Ohio State defense is really elite. Can Michigan run the ball effectively, or will they sell out, do that cover zero stuff that they tried last year? Maybe it works this year. It comes down to Davis Warren and his arm, the passing game, to open up that run game. And I think Davis Warren is good enough. He will have a pretty good game. I think, the rumors are Sharon Moore took over the play calling versus Northwestern, and it did. It looked totally different from any of the other games that we've seen. Maybe it's just that Davis Warren had 3 starts in a row. I don't know. But they had trust in him in that last game, and they needed to because Northwestern is putrid in the secondary. Ohio State's a different story. So to get Warren going, it's got to be quick passes. It's got to be just the same formula versus Northwestern. Get it out, get it into the flat, take your shots deep, all that stuff. But the intermediate is going to have to happen. And I think Davis Warren can do it. That will allow Donovan Edwards or Mullings to break loose once or twice for big plays up the middle in the run game. We need that on offense. And defensively, Michigan will hold Ohio State to a couple of field goals or 4th down stops, which will help as well. Wink needs the defense to bend but never break, just like the last 3 years versus Ohio State. Ohio State cannot have more than one big play in this game, or they'll probably win it. So I don't see Michigan scoring a lot. This will be a close game going into the 4th quarter, and Michigan's defense will step up with a takeaway late in this game because Ryan Day will get impatient working his way down the field methodically. He'll want that big play, and then our secondary is going to say, okay, thank you, or Mason Graham or someone up front, Josiah Stewart, is going to say thank you, and Michigan wins this game on a Zavada late field goal. Very late, because it's going to be 24-23. If Ohio State has enough time left, they can go kick their own game-winning field goal. So I think this is really 10 seconds left in the game, and Michigan and Davis Warren do what they need to do, and Zavada gets the win. I think Michigan's offensive line will play the game of their lives, and Ohio State's won't against Michigan's front 4. That's the difference. They have all the weapons in the world, but it starts in the trenches, and we're going to slow them down. We're going to keep everything in front. We're going to force them to kick some field goals, 3 of them, and we'll only kick 1. Only score 4 times to their 5, but it adds up to Michigan winning this game 24-23. Am I nuts? Am I thinking with my heart and not my head? 12-time national champs, man. Can't lose to Ohio State. Got to keep it rolling. Underwood coming in. Beat them next year, too. Beat them 8 straight times just like they did to us. So that's what I'm hoping for, and I think that's what's going to happen. Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you. Like the video, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Have a great day. And go blue. Man, it would be epic. And I think this team, ever since Underwood committed, there's been a jolt into this program. And all these young guys, they don't know what it's like to lose to Ohio State. That's a kind of a psychological factor. Ohio State doesn't know what it's like to beat Michigan. Can that weigh on them? I think it's going to cost them the game. I think it's going to cost them the game. The impatience of Ryan Day. Go Blue.